SansCleveland.com. Was this one of the more fun wins that you guys have had this season?
Yeah, I mean, I judge that by the way the guys respond. And I thought the guys, they enjoyed themselves because everybody got an opportunity to contribute. They were supporting each other, rooting for one another. But they're all fun.
J.A., again, nearing a triple-double. How important has he been over the stretch, especially with the injuries?
Again, we talk about it, and he understands the position he's in and how much he means to this team. He sees two of his teammates that are down, and he's trying to figure out a way to step up to help us continue to hold down the fort until everybody can get back. But this is what J.A. is capable of. I mean, he's proven, as he continues to be aggressive and gets involved and the ball's in his hands. He's not just a singular player. He's not just a lob threat or a roll threat. He's a very skilled basketball player, and you'll see his assist numbers keep going because he does have that skill set.
Chris. Hey, J.B.
What's up, Chris?
Over the last 10 games or so, understanding it's a small sample size, but you guys have one of the better offenses in the NBA, and a lot of people would look at it and say, well, Darius is out, Evan Mobley's out. How is that possible? How have you been able to take your offense to a different level during this stretch?
It's as much as I, hate to say it, it's come down to executing the analytics at a little bit more, and that's what you have to do when you're down. Your more talented players. If you want to try to find an uptick, you have to find different ways and be more efficient. And we're trying to jack as many threes as we possibly can. And, numbers say the more you shoot, you give yourself a better opportunity. Try to attack the rim more, get more layups. Haven't been as successful as I'd like at getting to the free throw line, but, just trying to play a little bit more of the analytics game when you're down bodies.
Was that like a team-wide challenge when those two guys went out?
Yeah, I mean, it was something, obviously, as coaches we talked about and understanding, how you find those numbers, those points without asking guys to be who they're not and start forcing the issue. But what this isn't, and I think our guys have shown it, it's not one-on-one jack a three because, this is what we say. This is play great team offense, share the ball, create for one another, and create as many opportunities as we can. 37 assists on 54 made field goals. Like, we're sharing the ball. And I think that's what we're aiming to do.
Jay, why do you hate to say that?
I'm an old school basketball guy. So, but it's the truth of the matter.
Old school is in not frown on threes, but you don't like the game of just pace and space and just run down and throw it.
I don't like threes for threes' sake. And I think sometimes, when you follow the analytics, like, you just jack threes, whether they're contested or not. I think there's a purity to the game when you're creating good opportunities for one another. And, that's what our guys are doing, is they're creating good ones for one another.
Spencer Davies, Cavs Insider, going back to J.A. When you look at the type of assists he has, they're not just the dribble handoff variety or just from the block and stuff he's doing above the break. How kind of dynamic can that make everything else around him?
I mean, it just creates the space. If your big guy has the ball and he's lifted and they have to guard him away from the floor, and now you've got two-sided action with guys who can create their own shot, who can move without the basketball. It just creates a dynamic where defenses are going to have a hard time making a decision. And then, top it off with a big guy who can pass from those spots, and now they're even more on their heels. So it allows you to diversify, but it allows you to just continue to grow and be dynamic.
Just curious, I noticed after you guys went up 19, they went on an 8-0 run. You called a timeout, and you guys didn't look too happy. Did you say something in the huddle there? Because after that, you guys just blitzed them. Yeah,
it was just, hold our guys to our standard that we're trying to have every single day. And I think we slipped a little bit in that. Again, I say this, and the final score doesn't obviously show it, but they're a dangerous team. You know what I mean? Like Kuzma and Poole, those two guys, like they can get it going and put a ton of pressure on you. Tyus Jones is a heck of a point guard. You know what I mean? Like, so I just wanted to make sure we stayed to our standard, and no matter what the score was.
Jackson, flipping to right down Euclid. Jared Allen had 7 offensive rebounds today, and that's been a trend that we've seen recently. Is that something that you're emphasizing more with him?
We just continue to ask him to be the best version of himself. Like, that's what we've talked about with all these guys. As soon as the injuries kind of happened, our message to each individual was be the most confident, aggressive version of yourself. And I think J.A.'s taken that to heart, and his numbers have shown it.
Chris? J.B., going back to the three-point shooting thing, you mentioned the other night that you've changed some things stylistically on the offensive end, and you've introduced new sets and stuff like that. During this stretch, have you done something specific on the offensive end to create more threes, like run offense a different kind of way?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of movement, but it's just a conscientious effort to get to the paint first and then do whatever the right thing is next. And again, when you have the spacing that's on the floor, you have the guys that are capable of making those shots. But again, I want to stress this, that like this is about the team and their willingness to do for one another, and how they create, how they share, how they understand each other's strengths and weaknesses. Like, when a guy like Sam is on the floor, everybody on the floor seems like they're running to go screen for Sam, right? Because they know what he's capable of and how he can contribute. And it just goes on and on and on. You throw Tristan on the floor, and people know where Tristan is valued in that pocket, right? Tristan gets the ball in the pocket, and now you see him throwing these no-look passes to guys out on the perimeter, right? Like, this is about each individual that's in that locker room and that gets on that floor trying to do something for somebody other than themselves. And that's what we're stressing. The threes are a product of that, and that's what we're trying to create. But it's not about the selfish act of me getting mine. It's about what can I do and how can I help my teammate.
Last one, Brendan. Brendan Bula, Cavs Insider. Coach, 62-36 on the glass. You've referenced the analytics and the standard you try to hold yourself to. Obviously, that's an elite rebounding margin. What do you consider to be a good rebounding margin on any given night?
It's around 75 to 76% of your opportunities. So, of shots that are missed, that's what you want to try to get 75 to 76% of them is what our goal is. But, again, get as many as you can. And I think it sets the tone, how aggressive you are on the boards. And if you can dominate the boards, dominate the paint, typically you're going to win the game.
Similarly, turnovers, basically 1 turnover per 10 shots. Is that on par with where you find an acceptable margin?
All those things kind of just depend. Obviously, we want to take care of it, not turn it over. But, there's certain things that we're going to live with. If you're trying to share the ball, typically, your turnovers are going to be a little bit higher. If you're being aggressive, driving to the paint, if teams are willing to take charges, like we'll live with those because we're being aggressive in nature. What we just want to avoid is the careless ones. But, again, if we're trying to do the right thing, we'll take them.